Thank you for joining us on Silently Bleeding. It's my great privilege to introduce to you Emma Bechtel.
Hey!
I was raised in a pastor's home. I'm married to a pastor, and I am a pastor. I've experienced hurt through criticism, rejection, and the way people have treated my children. We will be discussing these subjects and so much more right here on Silently Bleeding, Finding Hope for the Pastor's Wife. Emma, could you tell us a little bit about you?
Yes, so I just graduated with my bachelor's degree in ministerial leadership in December. I got married last July, so we're coming up on a year soon. And I love editing photos, love spending time with my family, so that's a little bit about me.
So Emma, this has been your first year of marriage and your first full year of ministry.
Yes.
What is something you feel like you've learned over this last year?
Wow, we've had a lot of opportunities to grow and to learn this last year. I would say one of the things though, and it's a little bit more personal related as it relates to ministry, is just the grace of God in this season has been more evident in our lives than ever before. And I say that because COVID really kind of threw a curveball at us as far as our wedding goes. Like, we had planned for 150 people to be there. We planned for an awesome reception that we had to cancel. Family couldn't be there that we had planned to be there. Like, I was missing bridal shower, like bridesmaids and all that. So it was rough. But I would say that even so, like, God's grace really shone through. And I mean, after our marriage or after our wedding, I got depressed, not because I had just gotten married, but because COVID really took a toll on just my spirit and feeling depressed. And I know that we've all kind of felt the effects of COVID on our social lives and not seeing people and all that. So I would say God's grace has really been evident. And that's one thing I've learned. That's what God's teaching me. So.
Oh, good. Yeah. Would you say there was anything that took you by surprise in ministry in this first year?
I would say, and this is a positive thing, and I know because we've talked, this sadly isn't true for everyone, but the generosity of this church, specifically your church, the people, the congregants, the kids, they've been so welcoming and so generous to us through Pastor's Appreciation Day and Christmas and all those sort of things, those opportunities for them to give. They did, and I've just been blown away and surprised and honored by that congregation-pastor relationship. So that's one thing I learned and was surprised by. So,
well, you guys are easy to love.
Oh, thank you.
Was there any negative surprises? Anything that you weren't expecting that was kind of like, oh?
I guess one thing, and it's not necessarily negative, I guess it kind of comes with the job, but I wasn't necessarily expecting to be, I don't want to say picked apart, but just like that platform that you have, like, a lot of people are watching you, a lot of people are watching what you say and what you wear and what you do, and that's kind of necessary to be aware of when you're put on that platform that I wasn't really aware of before I was, put there. So I guess not negative, but one thing that took me by surprise that I was like, oh, I need to learn from this. So
yeah. Okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
That's good. So if you could go back to a year ago and tell yourself something you've learned over this year, what would that be?
I would say to myself a year ago that you're never really prepared until you get there, but God equips the called. And I know that's a cliche saying that you've probably heard before, but that God's grace is sufficient, that even when you are sad and depressed and angry, maybe, that God's grace is so much bigger than that, and He is still capable of using you and pushing you to grow in that time, even when it doesn't feel like a great time. So,
I have to say, God really did help you, because you never came across at church or in staff meetings or anything like that, you never came across angry or upset. I mean, there were a couple times you seemed a little down, but you were still very sweet and loving. So I commend you for that.
Thank you. Well, that's a testimony to the grace of God, because my feelings in my heart was, wrenched otherwise. So, yeah.
Well, as you've said, COVID has been so difficult for every one of us.
Yes.
It really has.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's a fun question. if you could meet with a group of pastors' wives or female pastors that are well seasoned, what is one question you would ask them?
That would be such a great opportunity to be in a room full of you guys, of pastors' wives that have seen it all. I would ask how you guys handled the fishbowl that I was kind of mentioning earlier, that platform that you're given where everyone's kind of watching you, not in the sense of like a celebrity, but like you are held to a higher standard than even like the congregants are, like a church person, you're the pastor's wife. So how do you handle that fishbowl effect, and how do you handle when people come to you and maybe offer some unsolicited advice, or when someone gives you their opinion and you're like, I don't, like, am I doing something wrong? Like those sort of things. What would you say, or how would you react to that?
That's a great question. So I'm going to ask you, pastors' wives, if you have a little bit of seasoning under your belt, if you have been in ministry for any amount of time and you would be willing to answer, would you leave comments down below and just speak to Emma on that and the other young pastors' wives that are watching this video?
Yes.
Okay, so I know you're young, but if you had the opportunity, which you do right now, to speak into pastors' wives that are maybe going through depression or struggling with ministry or home life, what is a word of encouragement you could give our pastors' wives and female ministers?
Well, I certainly don't feel qualified to give you guys advice because I am so young. But from personal experience, I would say to anyone that's feeling sad or lonely or angry or going through that kind of like low season, I would say it doesn't last forever, and God uses those seasons for refinement and growth, and that season is not wasted on sadness and anger and those feelings. It's actually God's perfect timing to refine you and grow you, and you will see the harvest of that in the future. So that's the encouragement that I would give to myself and to everyone else going through something similar.
Great word, thank you. Thank you, Emma, for joining us today. I'm so honored that we could have you with us. And I thank you for watching, and we will look forward to seeing you on the next video. God bless. Thank you for watching Silently Bleeding, Finding Hope for the Pastor's Wife. I look forward to connecting with you. Feel free to leave me comments down below, and make sure and subscribe. If you want to know every time a new video is coming out, hit the bell. I would be so delighted if you would also hit the like button, and feel free to share this video with anyone you know that this would encourage. Blessings, my friend.